The last time something like this happened was just before the SATs. Everyone in my class suddenly discovered an application called the Points Exchange app installed on their phones. It allowed you to trade your future SAT score for practically anything you could imagine. A classmate who was struggling financially traded a mere 10 points for $100,000. A girl in my class exchanged 100 points for the stunning face of a movie star and the physique of a supermodel. The wealthiest kid in school spent 300 points to acquire a brilliant mind for business. I was the only person who voiced any skepticism. I asked them, something this powerful that can fundamentally change our lives, are you all certain there isn't some hidden catch? But their excitement was cut short when they discovered my phone had an app that theirs didn't. I was the only one with the Reset app. All it required was for me to press a single button, and every single reward they had acquired would be instantly wiped away, gone, as if it never existed. In their fear and greed, the entire class turned against me. They worked together to drain all of my points, and when my score hit 0, I was erased by the system. But now, somehow, I've been given a second chance. This time, as everyone around me excitedly cashes in their points for unbelievable prizes, I will remain silent. I will watch and wait, biding my time until every last one of them has made their trade. Then, and only then, will my hunt truly begin. 7 days remaining until the SATs. A cold, robotic voice echoed inside my head, jolting me awake. I lifted my head from my desk, my eyes adjusting to the bright fluorescent lights of the classroom. The air was thick with tension. Every student was bent over their books, scribbling furiously, terrified of wasting even a single second of this final, crucial review session. Just then, a sharp ding from some kind of notification system sounded from above us. SAT Points Exchange app has been bound. Would the host like to begin exchanging? Suddenly, every phone in the classroom began to buzz and chime at once. The class president, David, was the first to pull out his phone, a look of complete confusion on his face. A moment later, his eyes widened and he gasped. "What is this?" he murmured, holding up his phone for the students near him to see. "A points exchange app? Who downloaded this on my phone?" One by one, the other students retrieved their phones, their expressions mirroring David's. "Is this some kind of check-in app the school made?" someone asked. "Is this for real? A system? Did we get chosen by fate? Is this the start of some grand adventure?" another exclaimed. I observed my classmates' reactions with a cold, detached sense of familiarity. I was back. I had actually been reborn, sent back to 7 days before the SATs, to the precise moment the Points Exchange app was bound to all of us. In my previous life, on this exact morning, this mysterious application had been automatically installed on everyone's phones. You couldn't delete it or uninstall it. It was just there. Opening the app immediately brought up your student profile, but the most critical piece of information it displayed was your future SAT score. And right next to that score was a prominent exchange button. The conversion rate was simple. 1 point was equal to $10,000. 20 points could get you $200,000. Anyone could trade their future SAT points for cold, hard cash. But if it were only for money, it wouldn't have been nearly as special or as dangerous. This app could be used to obtain anything that existed in the real world. Last time, someone had successfully traded points for the face of a famous actress and the body of a runway model. Someone else traded for a genius-level business acumen. Another traded for the genuine affection of the person they had a crush on. And one person even traded points to get their divorced parents back together. As long as you had enough points to afford it, you could get anything your heart desired. It wasn't just an app, it was a magic lamp, a wishing tree. Everyone went completely insane, frantically using the app to make their wildest dreams come true. I was the only one who had questioned it. "Something this game-breaking," I had said. "Are you sure there won't be a catch?" My caution was born from the fact that, besides the exchange app, I had one more application than they did. It was called Reset. Just as the name implied, anything they obtained from the app, all I had to do was press a button, and it would all be wiped clean, erased from existence. The app's interface showed that I could cancel the reward of any student whose score reached 0, and in doing so, I would receive their reward for myself. In response to my question back then, someone had quickly shot back with disdain. What kind of catch could there possibly be? The worst that happens is I lose a few points on the SATs, right? But with my grades, even if I do well, I'll probably just end up at a state school. Am I ever going to make this kind of money after I graduate? But some of the more intelligent students had picked up on the hint of something more in my words. They insisted on seeing my phone. And that's when they found it. The extra app I had, an app that held their newfound lives in its hands. Even though I never once considered canceling anyone's reward, most of the class started looking at me with undisguised hostility. Someone suggested they take my phone and keep it from me until after the SATs, ensuring I'd have no chance to reset them. But they quickly realized that as soon as I got a new phone, the software would simply install itself again. Then, someone deliberately fanned the flames of their fear, and they decided to eliminate the threat entirely, me. They all banded together, carved up my points, and when my score hit 0, the app announced that I was being erased. But I never expected that the end would be a new beginning. I was back on the day the app was bound. This time, I knew the rules. This time, I'm the only werewolf in a village of unsuspecting sheep. In the classroom, everyone was huddled together in small, excited groups. They all had their phones out, their faces illuminated by the glow of the screens. A student I'll call Alex said, "This app shows my future SAT score. It says I got a 1450. That's way higher than any of my practice tests." The class math whiz, Marcus, pushed up his glasses. "It says we can exchange points for anything. Who's willing to risk 1 point to see if this is real?" "The app says you can only exchange points before the SATs," another student pointed out. "After the test, it's useless." "But if we spend the points, will there be some side effect we don't know about?" Someone else worried aloud. "Last time, I was the first one they suspected because I refused to use my points for anything. This time, I decided to make the first move. When no one was looking, I secretly dragged the Reset app into a hidden folder on my phone and secured it with a password. Then, I carefully took out my phone, feigning excitement. "I'll try it," I announced. "What if it's real?" I pretended to fiddle with my phone, quickly setting it up so that a transfer of $10,000 would appear to come from the app. In reality, it was money I had saved from birthdays and summer jobs. A moment later, my banking app showed a notification for a deposit of $10,000. Everyone's eyes turned red with greed. "It's real! You can actually get stuff!" Everyone clutched their phones, excitedly starting to calculate what they could get with their projected scores. But a few people were more rational. The class president, David, for example, spoke up cautiously. "Everyone, let's be careful before we start trading. What if spending points actually lowers our SAT scores? If you have more points than you need for your target school, then maybe it's okay to spend the extra." The students who were listening started doing the math, but those with lower scores just scowled. Finally, Ben, the guy who was always at the bottom of the class rankings, burst out in frustration. "My family doesn't have the money to send me to college anyway. I'm just going to be working construction after graduation. Besides, with my score, I'm not getting into college, so I might as well cash out." Ignoring everyone's warnings, he immediately spent 100 SAT points. Instantly, his bank account balance swelled by $1 million. He was ecstatic, shouting that he was a millionaire and who the hell needed college. Then, he opened an online shopping app and started buying up expensive gaming consoles, high-end computers, and all sorts of luxury goods. He found he could spend every dollar. His app now showed his remaining SAT score, 180. With him as a test case, everyone else relaxed and was eager to try. At that moment, the math whiz, Marcus, who had been quiet the whole time, suddenly spoke up. "I've been thinking about this, and it's basically a grandfather paradox. If spending points lowers our future SAT scores, then how did we get these high scores in the first place? There's only one possibility. It doesn't actually affect our real scores. This is a gift from fate. There are no side effects." Someone immediately agreed. "Yeah, this is a once-in-a-lifetime chance. Even if it does lower our scores, big deal. We can just retake the test next year. Plus, with the money we can get, we'll be millionaires. Who needs college then?" With that, the speaker went back to his seat, phone in hand, already planning his next move. Faced with all this unfolding chaos, I simply put my phone away and said nothing. A mocking smile touched my lips as I watched them celebrate their newfound fortune. This was just the beginning. Once most of them had spent their surplus points, their greed would grow infinitely. Faced with the choice between a college education and becoming rich overnight, most people would make their choice without hesitation. And when the first person spends all their points, they'll discover the app's other hidden rule. Anyone with a zero balance will be erased by the system, and everything they acquired will be split among the rest of the class. That's when the real bloodshed would begin. Just then, Marcus walked over to my desk and said quietly, "Leo, what are you planning to get? With your score, you should be able to get pretty much anything on there, right?" I watched him sharply. Marcus, the math genius. In my last life, he was the first one to discover my reset app. He was a master manipulator. To protect his own rewards, he deliberately turned the other students against me. He was always ranked first in our class, with me right behind at number 2. In front of this guy, I couldn't show the slightest weakness. I pretended to be hesitant. I'm thinking of trading for cash too. My family isn't struggling like Ben's, but we're not rich either. Besides, my score isn't that great this time. Marcus thought for a moment, then tapped my desk with his long, slender fingers. "How many points do you have in your account?" My score was exactly 650. Right now, points were wealth. They had just gotten the app and had no idea how the endgame worked. A lot of people expose their high scores right from the start, making them easy targets for later. But I had acted fast. No one had seen my score. And I had volunteered to test the waters with 1 point. In Marcus's eyes, I was probably just some reckless kid he could use. I shook my head. Not many. Marcus leaned in closer. "You know, you could just spend it all. I've already figured out a loophole in this app. If you can trade for anything, you could probably just trade points directly for a spot at the school you want. Harvard, Yale. As long as you have the points, you should be able to get in." My eyes widened. This was different from last time. Back then, everyone was still being cautious at this point. Only the kids who weren't planning on going to college anyway were cashing in their points like crazy. Most of the better students only dared to trade for small amounts of money. The theory that you could trade for a spot at a top school didn't come up until 4 days before the SATs. And it was Marcus who proposed it. Why was he bringing it up so early this time? I feigned a look of surprise. If that's true, we could go to college and get our wishes. I'm going to have to really think about this. Marcus patted my shoulder, his voice turning soft and intimate. "Actually, Leo, I've liked you for a long time. I was going to wait until after our scores came out to tell you, but I don't think I need to now. We could trade for spots at Harvard together." He showed me his app. It indicated that getting into Harvard only cost 350 points. I laughed coldly to myself. Here we go again, the same old trick. Last time, Marcus confessed to me just like this. He had figured out the app's hidden rules early on and used our relationship as an excuse to look at my phone where he found my reset app. After all, he was number 1 in class and I was number 2. He had the most points. And if he wanted to take someone else's points, I was the prime candidate. Once he got the information he needed from me, he promptly used the others to vote me out, carving up my rewards and getting me erased by the app. I wasn't falling for it this time. I didn't say a word, just pretended to be shy. Let me think about it. I couldn't make an enemy of Marcus yet. I had to use something else to distract him. Our conversation was a little too obvious. My deskmate, Sarah, was the first to notice. She frowned, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "Can't you tell, Marcus? Leo's not into you. Besides, with this points app, he's about to be rich. Obviously, he's going to go for someone much better looking." Marcus's face darkened. He wasn't ugly, in fact. He was one of the better-looking guys in our class. But his family was poor, and he was always studying, so he didn't pay much attention to his appearance. He was naturally a little insecure. Sarah's words hit him right where it hurt. Marcus shot her a glare but didn't say much, just told me to take my time and think about it. Then he left the classroom. Sarah looked like she was about to follow him, but I stopped her. "Sarah, what was that about? I've never looked down on Marcus. I just think he only likes me for my score, you know? He doesn't actually know me. I'm not as great as he thinks. I was deliberately playing the innocent victim to provoke her. Sarah was supposed to be my best friend, but last time she teamed up with Marcus to betray me, all because she had a secret crush on him. When she found out about my reset app later on, she was the one who suggested to Marcus that they vote to drain all my points, which led to me being erased. My words did the trick. Sarah was furious. She shook my hand off. Oh, give me a break. You think you're so smart, always showing off. Just wait, once I use my points to get some money, I'm going to get plastic surgery and look like a celebrity. With the app, Sarah didn't have to pretend to be nice to me anymore. Her tone became much more direct. But I tried to reason with her. That's not what I meant. Besides, plastic surgery has risks. It would be great if the app could just give you a pretty face and a great body with no side effects or recovery time. Sarah's eyes flickered. A moment later, as if she'd thought of something, she immediately pulled out her phone and started typing on the app. That's right. Last time, Sarah used her points to get a new face and body. It wasn't cheap. Each one cost 100 points. She was spurred on by the fact that Marcus and I were together, and it led to my erasure. This time, my words just sped up the process. On the first day of the app's appearance, 20% of the class had made a trade. I found an empty corner and quietly opened the reset app on my phone. A leaderboard appeared showing the people who had spent the most points. Ben, 45% of points spent. Sarah, 33% of points spent. Dylan, 20% of points spent. Once their progress bar hit 100%, a reset button would appear next to their name. I thought about what Marcus had said. If you could trade points for anything, what if he used points to find out about my reset app? I had to be prepared. This was my secret weapon. I couldn't let anyone find out about it. The next morning, not a single person was absent from class. The reason was simple. The exchange app only worked inside this classroom. It was a rule deliberately set by the app's creator to gather us all in one place, to make us kill each other. Most of the students had new clothes. Some even looked different. Especially when Sarah walked in, everyone was stunned. She had a completely new look. Her face was as beautiful as a movie star's, and her figure was curvy like an international supermodel. She walked in right after Marcus. She came over to me, looking at me smugly. This exchange system is amazing. I woke up this morning and looked like this. I stared at her, laughing coldly inside. In a few days, you won't be laughing. Once you start using the app, you've stepped into the devil's trap. No one gets out unscathed. I pretended to congratulate her. Seeing my flat expression, she seemed a little dissatisfied. What did you get last night? I don't see any changes in you. It was an easy psychology to understand. With this sudden windfall, everyone was getting things, but they were also worried that others had more left than they did. I feigned embarrassment. Marcus told me to trade for a spot at Harvard. There's no way I could get in with my real SAT score, so I figured I might as well just use the points. Sarah's face fell. She immediately took out her phone to check her score. I glanced over and saw she only had 200 points left. Her SAT score was only 480. She'd spent 200 points on her looks and body, and she must have traded the other 80 for cash. 200 points wasn't enough to get into Harvard. Her expression turned grim. After a moment, she stared at me and sneered. Are you an idiot? It takes 350 points to get into Harvard. That's $3.5 million in cash. Even if you graduate from Harvard, are you ever going to make that much money? I shook my head. We have different goals. Sarah muttered something nasty about me under her breath. Soon, she was telling everyone that I'd spent 350 points to get into Harvard. Before long, the whole class knew. They all looked at me like I was a moron, and that's exactly what I wanted. Only by letting them think I'd spent my points would they not suspect me. Marcus, standing nearby, looked at me, seeming like he wanted to say something. Leo, I haven't made my trade yet. I want to wait and see and use my points on the last day before the test. But don't worry, I'll join you at Harvard. Just as I thought, Marcus was a cunning fox. He wanted to let everyone else test the waters for him. Too bad for him. The app wouldn't let a single person slip through the cracks. The third day of the app, everyone received a new message on their phones. All prices have doubled. From now on, prices will increase daily. Before, 10 points could get you $100,000. Now it took 20 points. And so on. Marcus's face turned green. About half the class hadn't made any major trades yet. They were mostly waiting, having only spent a few points. When the message came, Ben was the first to burst out laughing. Some of you were so scared of side effects you didn't want to trade. You wanted other people to be your guinea pigs. Now you have to pay double, huh? Serves you right. Just last night, Ben had only 10 points left in his account. Sarah also held her chin high with pride. Tisk, tisk, exactly. Good thing we cashed in on the first day. I got $800,000 for 80 points. Anyone who still has points left should spend them now. Soon they'll be worthless. There were also a couple of rich kids in the class. One of them, Julian, hadn't been interested in trading for money. But now, seeing this, he gritted his teeth and spent 300 points on a superstar business mind. He said smugly, "You guys are all idiots. The money you get will run out eventually, but not me. My family's already rich. Now that I have this business brain, any stock I buy will skyrocket. I'll make way more money in the long run." His words were a wake-up call for almost everyone. They started trading for skills that would benefit them, not just cash. One guy had a crush on a girl for ages but could never get her attention. He used his points to win her affection. Someone who was forced into a relationship by the app had to spend points to cancel it out. In a short time, most of the points had been spent. The list on my Reset app grew longer and longer. More and more people were running out of points. Even Marcus's name appeared on the list. Faced with the rising prices, he couldn't hold out any longer, but he was smart. He kept a reserve of 10 points in his account. As for me, I ignored the chaos and continued to study. I didn't need anything. The fourth day of the app, the system's electronic voice rang out again. All prices have quadrupled. Prices will continue to increase daily. For any student with a point balance of 0, a vote can be held to divide their rewards. Please choose whether to proceed. At the same time, several names appeared on the app. Ben, Dylan, Sarah, Mike. Everyone was stunned, especially Ben and Sarah. After the price increase was announced yesterday, they had cashed in every last point they had, and it wasn't just them. Out of 28 students in the class, 14 of them had emptied their accounts. Ben slammed his hand on the desk. "What's this app talking about? Other people can take our rewards?" On what grounds? We didn't have many points to begin with. If anyone should be targeted, it should be the people with high scores. Ben wasn't smart, but he was strong and was basically the class enforcer. To protect his own rewards, he immediately directed his anger at the students who usually got good grades and had high scores. Sarah saw this and, without a second's hesitation, ran over to Ben's side. "He's right. All of us who spent our points. Isn't it because we can't get into a good college anyway? That's why we spent it all. How many points did we even have?" "Ben, I'm with you on this. I definitely won't vote for you." The other students who had also spent all their points gathered around Ben. It was clear they wanted him to take the lead. As soon as the new rule came out, the previously friendly atmosphere in the class instantly split into two factions. One was the group of students who had spent all their points, and the other was the group who still had points left. Marcus, Julian, David, and a few other student leaders were all in the group with points remaining. Marcus looked at Ben and his group. "Calm down. We haven't figured out this new rule yet. Everyone spent their own points and got money or things they wanted. There's no need to take other people's rewards." Hearing this, Ben's expression softened a little. "You're right. We all got this windfall. The app gave us more money than we can spend, so we shouldn't be greedy for more. I'll make this clear right now. If anyone secretly votes to take my stuff, don't blame my fists for not recognizing you." Most people were scared of Ben's fists and didn't dare to speak up for a moment. Of course, they were also afraid of getting into trouble themselves. Meanwhile, Marcus's group also gathered together, whispering amongst themselves. Both sides were wary of each other. But with this new rule, no one would let their account hit 0 anymore. especially not Marcus. I stood quietly in a corner, observing the scene. Last time, this rule about dividing up rewards appeared on this day. Everyone swore they wouldn't vote to take anyone else's rewards, but because I had the reset system, I became the first one to be targeted. And after me, there were new victims soon enough. Greed is a bottomless pit. But this time, I was reborn, and I knew the rules in advance. I opened my own exchange app. Besides showing the new rule, I had an extra notification. Congratulations! For not using any points during the app's duration, you have received a veto power. I looked at my own name, Leo, 0% of points spent. That's right. From the very beginning, I hadn't used a single point. The $10,000 that appeared in my account at the start was money I had saved up from birthdays and holidays since I was a kid. I just pretended it was from the app, a smokescreen to throw them off. Veto power. It meant that even if someone found out about my reset app later and started a vote against me, I could veto it with a single vote. It was basically a get-out-of-jail-free card. And this veto power, last time, it belonged to Marcus. He had been worried about side effects and hadn't spent any points. He got rich by taking everyone else's rewards. And on the fourth day, he was granted the veto power. But when everyone voted to take my points, he chose to abstain. This time, I was curious to see who the first unlucky person would be. Marcus's gaze swept over to me. Leo, you still have points in your account, right? You need to be careful. Now that Ben and his gang have no points, they might come after those of us who have more. I shrank back, pretending to be scared. I have a little left. I'll be really careful. What should I do? I'll listen to you. After evening study hall let out, Marcus sent a message to everyone in our high score group. Vote for Ben. Let's get him out first. After reading it, a small smile played on my lips. What a hypocrite. To Ben's face, he said there was no need to take anyone's rewards. Then he turned around and was the first to vote him out. Last time Ben didn't get eliminated this early, he was working with Marcus. One of them came up with the plans, the other used threats and intimidation to control the other students. I never thought that this time Marcus would target him first. I didn't plan on using my veto power because it would be much more useful to me later. However, the class president, David, also received the message, and he seemed very hesitant. Why do we have to take someone else's rewards? Some of the things people got, you might not even need them. I narrowed my eyes at him. If I remembered correctly, out of the 28 students in our class, he was the only one who, on the very first day, used his points to get his divorced parents back together. It cost 200 points, and he didn't even blink. After that, he never used his remaining points for anything else. Last time, when everyone voted to take my rewards, he was the one who secretly told me to be careful of Marcus. And he was the second person to be targeted after me. At first, no one cared about his parents getting back together rewards, so no one voted for him. But he had over 300 points left in his account, which made others very jealous. Even as the deadline approached and prices went up, his points were still worth a huge amount of money. Since I knew he wasn't a bad person, and I now had the veto power, I didn't need to act anymore. I couldn't help but quietly warn him, if you speak up for Ben now, you'll be the next one they go after. David's face instantly went pale. He gave a bitter smile. If they really need it, they can just have it all. I shook my head. This guy still thought too highly of people. The fifth day of the Points Exchange app. Ben has received 15 votes out of a total of 28. More than half of the students have voted to divide his rewards. This app has determined that his rewards are hereby canceled. As soon as I walked into the classroom, the phone notification sounded again. At the same time, anyone who had voted received a sum of money in their account. Last night, whenever someone pressed the vote button, a prompt would appear. Are you sure you want to divide Ben's rewards? Once divided, Ben will be erased by the system. It wasn't just about dividing rewards. It was the power to erase someone. This step deterred some people. After all, they didn't have any deep-seated hatred for him. There was no need to wish him dead. Marcus, Julian, and their group of student leaders, plus me, made up 14 votes. Both David and I chose to abstain, but Ben was still voted out by a high margin, which meant what? Someone in Ben's own faction wanted him gone. My gaze shifted to Sarah across the room. Her expression was distant and distracted. It was obvious she was the traitor. Ben's face had already turned a deathly gray. He pounded his fists on the desk frantically. Then, he charged over to us, looking crazed. "It was you, wasn't it? You all voted for me. You want to kill me? Fine. You all act so righteous, but you're just a bunch of rats hiding in the dark." With that, he started wildly attacking people on our side. Several students were caught in the chaos, until the system's notification sound rang out again. Punishment for Ben has been issued. In an instant, Ben froze, as if he'd been struck by lightning, motionless for several seconds. His eyes immediately became vacant. He just stared blankly back at his desk. Like a puppet on strings, he opened a book and began to read from the textbook in a monotone voice. I knew that Ben was no longer Ben. He had thoughts, he could eat and sleep, but his soul had been stolen by the app. That's what happened to me last time. What happened to Ben was a wake-up call for everyone. The person whose rewards were taken would become a mindless zombie like him. But there were still many names on the app's list of people with zero balances. Ben was just the first to be voted out because he was a bully and used his strength to intimidate others. But who would be next? Looking at the extra money in their accounts, who could resist the temptation? Soon, Sarah stood up and looked at us coldly. "I know it was you high scorers who voted for Ben. You talk a big game about not taking our rewards, but secretly you want to kill us off one by one, right? Fine then, we have nothing to lose. Let's all just hit 0. Quickly, Ben's old faction began to act. They targeted students who were alone. They cornered them and forced them to spend all the points in their app. Their logic was that if everyone's score was 0, then everyone was at risk of being voted out, which would make the game fair. It was admittedly the best solution at the moment. The two factions had been roughly equal in number, but Ben's group was mostly made up of underachievers, many of whom were no strangers to fights. They targeted the weaker, less assertive students and forcibly zeroed out their accounts. Soon, the number of people on Marcus and Julian's side began to shrink. The list on my Reset app grew longer and longer. All it would take was a flick of my finger and they would all be wiped out. Sarah snuck out of the classroom. Marcus followed soon after. I watched all this silently. David looked very troubled. During the break, he secretly came over to me. "Can't we stop this from happening? People are going to die. Can they really just kill someone for money?" They know, but it's gotten to this point. They've all lost their minds. Do you really think they care about anyone else's life now? As I spoke, I suddenly looked at him. "Want to see a good show?" David didn't understand. I then walked out of the classroom as well. In the corner by the restroom, Sarah had her arms around Marcus's waist, speaking in a flirtatious tone. "I did what you said. I voted Ben out and spread the idea of everyone zeroing out. Now they're trying to zero out everyone, and I'm really worried about you." Marcus wrapped his arm around her shoulder possessively. He said smugly, "Don't worry, I'll be fine. These idiots haven't figured out how the app really works. They have no idea that their lives are completely in my hands." "Marcus," Sarah said, "do you really have the Reset app? You can just take anyone's rewards whenever you want?" Marcus smiled and pinched her nose. "What are we now? Why would I lie to you? As long as you listen to me and do what I say, after tomorrow, I'll reset everyone's rewards and all that massive wealth will be ours." Sarah said, "And you promised to transfer points to me, is that true? Ben's old group has gone crazy. I'm scared they'll find out I was the mole." "You just need to stay undercover for one more day. On the last day, I'll definitely transfer the points to you to make sure your account doesn't get zeroed out." Sarah looked a little suspicious. "You better not be lying to me. Also, I've had enough of Leo. Tonight, get your people to vote for him. Get him out." "Done!" I secretly ended the video recording on my phone. My mind was reeling. Marcus had a Reset app too? No wonder he sold me out last time. It was all to protect his own secret. Before they could notice me, I quickly pulled David into hiding. After thinking for a few seconds, I sent the video from an anonymous account to the class group chat. Marcus was planning to come after me next. If people found out I still had so many points, Even if my reset app wasn't exposed, I would be voted out. But once this video was out, the one in danger wasn't me anymore, it was Marcus. This time, I wanted to see how he'd handle it. Wants to be the alpha wolf? Beside me, David had a complicated expression. A reset app. Why does Marcus have an extra app? I didn't say anything, just looked at him. Marcus holds everyone's lives in his hands. What do you want to do? Tell the others and vote him out first since he's the biggest threat. My question was actually a test. I needed an ally. But if he made the same choice most people made last time, then he was no different from Marcus and the others. And my get-out-of-jail-free card wouldn't be used to protect him. David thought for a long time, then gave a bitter smile. Isn't there another option? A way for no one to have to die? I sighed. There is one way, but no one will do it. What is it? Return everything you got from the app exactly as you received it. The only way to truly avoid the app's backlash is to not use its rewards. This rule was actually easy to figure out. It's why I had refused to use my points all along. David's face stiffened. After a long moment, he looked at me. Return it to the app. Do you know what I traded for? I got my divorced parents back together. When I went home and saw them acting like they were in love again, our family just sitting down for a quiet dinner. Do you know how happy I was? This app is truly magical. I understood his feelings. A happy family is more important than money. But have you ever thought about it? An app this powerful, it's beyond all logic and rules. Even if your parents are back together now, is it because they truly want to be? Are they still in love? Or are they just puppets being controlled by the system? After a long pause, David seemed to have figured something out. He nodded and took out his phone. Without hiding it from me, he typed in, "Return rewards." Instantly, his SAT score returned. 635 points. Only after he had done this did he look at me. You've never used your points for anything either, have you? You saw things more clearly than I did. Faced with such a huge temptation, I couldn't resist. Not exactly. I had just been through this all once before. David decided to tell the whole class about this option, to let them choose for themselves. I sighed helplessly. Even if they knew, no one would do it. The 6th day of the exchange app, there were already 22 people with zeroed-out accounts. They were filled with resentment, eyeing each other with suspicion. Marcus stood at the front of the classroom on the teacher's podium with Sarah by his side. Now all of your accounts have been zeroed out. Any one of you could be voted out. Don't think we're on the same level. I know you all saw the video someone posted in the group chat. That's right. I have an extra app. I can reset all of you with one click, no voting required. Don't even try to grab my phone. You can see for yourselves whose hands are faster, yours or mine, as I press the button. At this point, out of 28 students, 22 had become Marcus's captives. Only Marcus, Julian, David, and I were left. Julian was smart. He had hired 2 other students to be his bodyguards. They stuck together, preventing anyone from forcibly zeroing them out. Now, only 6 people still had points in their accounts. Everyone was staring at Marcus like a pack of hungry wolves. David and I had just walked in. Marcus frowned and gestured for me to come over. Leo, come over here with me. I have the app that controls everyone's lives. I can keep you safe. Safe, my ass. More like he wanted to be the first to kill me. I crossed my arms and stood by the door, not moving. David stood protectively in front of me. Seeing this, Marcus's expression soured. He gave David a long, hard look. Then he announced again. From now on, I make the rules. Don't worry, we were all good classmates. I won't erase anyone without reason. We're a class, a team. We should share the honor and the rewards. Now, everyone take out your phones. I'm going to have Sarah go around and register the rewards each of you has traded for. We'll consider whose rewards would be the most optimal to divide up. Marcus's move was truly vicious. He would prioritize taking the rewards of those who had traded for money. As for the other miscellaneous rewards that weren't worth taking, their owners would become his followers, forced to do his bidding. Under the threat of his reset app, the others had no choice but to take out their phones and register all their rewards. When it was David's turn, he couldn't hold back any longer. Everyone, calm down. This app is the devil's fruit. Don't get in any deeper. As long as you return everything you got, nothing bad will happen. Marcus scoffed. At a time like this, Mr. President, do you really think anyone will believe that? Returning our rewards to the app, how is that any different from being reset? Everyone has put in the blood, sweat, and tears for this. Are you trying to take everyone's rewards for yourself? Whispers broke out below. He's right, one student said. How am I supposed to return it now? I got over $1 million. I've spent hundreds of thousands on a new car and partying these past few days. How can I give that back? I traded for an extra 8 inches in height, said another. How do I return that? I don't want to be short again. No way, Marcus, as long as you don't reset me. I'll be your dog from now on. I'll come whenever you call. Most people couldn't return their rewards for various reasons. A small minority thought that as long as they clung to Marcus, they would be fine. As expected, the opportunity was right in front of them, but no one would take it. Marcus tapped his finger on the desk and everyone immediately fell silent. Our class president is so selfless, isn't he? You must have a lot of points, right? In that case, let's use you to test the new rules. Everyone vote. Let's send our dear president on his way. Now, all the zero balance students had become Marcus's lackeys. To show their loyalty, almost all of them took out their phones and voted for David. The class president looked at everyone with disappointment, then finally at me. He gave a bitter smile and said goodbye. I watched the scene unfold quietly and also took out my phone. Use veto power. I clicked use. The voting system happened twice a day, morning and evening. The punishment would be carried out the next day. David was voted out, but I vetoed it, but everyone else, including Marcus, thought he was a dead man walking. Soon it was my turn. I refused to take out my phone to register my rewards. Sarah, now Marcus's right-hand woman, surrounded me with other students. Everyone else registered. Why are you the special exception? You must have gotten a ton of money. After all, you had a high score. I remained unfazed. I just stared at her with a cold smile. You're right. I got a lot of money, and I'm not registering it. Go ahead, vote for me if you have the guts. There was only one day left anyway. I was done pretending. Might as well reveal myself as the alpha wolf. Sarah's eyes were filled with venom. Soon, she sneered. If you're asking for death, don't blame me for being cruel. Marcus, let's just reset him. I chuckled. You can vote for me, but you don't have any points left in your account. Tomorrow, you'll be the one who's dead. Sarah's eyes darted nervously. She gritted her teeth. Marcus won't vote for me. Marcus also looked at me, his voice softening as he tried to persuade me. Leo, don't break my rules. What I said to you before still stands. As long as you agree to be with me, I will definitely keep you safe. Besides, didn't you trade for a spot at Harvard? That's not an easy reward to divide up. Even if you reveal it, you'll be safe. Marcus spoke with such confidence, but I just laughed. Who told you I traded for a spot at Harvard? Sorry, but I still believe in getting in on my own merit. Marcus's face turned ugly. He had clearly gotten used to being the center of attention. He couldn't stand anyone defying him anymore. He sighed. You're making this very difficult for me. If I show you special treatment, others will talk. I'm doing this for the good of the group. So I have no choice but to vote you out. I nodded. You really act like an emperor now, don't you? Holding everyone's life and death in your hands. At that moment, everyone seemed to wake up. Julian's eyes shifted, and he secretly pulled out his phone. I glanced down at my own phone under the desk. A message had just been sent a minute ago. As soon as Marcus's points are zeroed out, he'll be just like everyone else. The palace coup was about to begin. The 7th day of the exchange app. More than a dozen more students in the class were now wandering around in a daze. To prevent anyone from forming secret alliances and voting against him, Marcus had reset them with a single click yesterday. They had become vacant puppets. Seeing that David and I were fine, looking completely normal, Marcus stroked his chin. It seems my guess was correct. As long as you have points in your account, you can't be voted out. Wrong. It was only because I used my veto power to save both David and myself. Julian had apparently figured this rule out too. He stood up, hands in his pockets. Did you all see that? David and Leo were voted for yesterday, but nothing happened to them. What does that tell you? People with points in their accounts can't be voted out. Marcus has the Reset app now. He can kill us at any time and take our rewards. Shouldn't we do something? Are we really going to let him control us? There were only 6 people left with points in their accounts. Including those who hadn't been reset by Marcus, there were 8 of us. Besides David, myself, and Sarah, Julian had 5 people with him. They rushed towards Marcus. Marcus seemed to have been prepared. He quickly tried to press the button on his phone. But at that moment, Sarah, who was standing right next to him, saw her chance. She snatched Marcus's phone and walked over to Julian's side. With the phone in her hand, she quickly zeroed out Marcus's points. Then she looked at him with a playful smile. Sorry, Marcus, I'm just not comfortable with one person holding everyone's lives in their hands. I was in awe. In just a few short days, Sarah had betrayed 2 people. She was a natural-born spy. Marcus probably never expected Sarah to betray him. You betrayed me. You're dead. Sarah shook her head. Marcus, feelings are fake, but money is real. I was completely on your side, but you were still hung up on that pretty boy, Leo. You broke my heart, so you can't blame me for betraying you. With that, she turned to Julian. Now Marcus has no points, just like us. Everyone can vote him out. Julian, like a victor, had become Marcus's replacement. Marcus sneered and quickly backed up to the window. He pulled a new phone out of his pocket. I knew you'd betray me, you bitch. I was prepared for you. You think you can kill me? Only I can control the Reset app. Any phone in my hands will have it reinstalled. Did you really think I didn't have a backup plan? As he spoke, he quickly clicked the reset button for Sarah. A crazed laugh escaped his lips. If I'm going down, we're all going down together. Sarah was stunned. She probably never imagined Marcus had another phone, or that he had figured out the hidden rules. Just as Marcus was about to click the reset buttons for the others, I took out my phone. Marcus, did it ever occur to you that you might not be the only one with a Reset app? Before he could act, I pressed the reset button next to his name. It was the only time I would ever use this button, saved especially for him. As for Sarah, my plan was just to trick her into spending her points early. I never thought they would end up turning on each other. Soon the remaining people received Marcus's rewards in their accounts. The color drained from Marcus's face completely. He looked at me with dawning horror. So that's how it is. You were playing dumb this whole time. You were the real wolf. He gave a bitter smile as Julian and his group swarmed him. They tied his hands and feet to prevent him from using the app again. I didn't stop any of it, until Julian's gaze fell on me. So you were the one who sent me the message. I smiled faintly. That's right, it was me. And don't even think about trying to take my phone. I've checked the time. In 1 minute, this app will be completely useless. Even if you get everyone to vote now, it won't work. I have veto power. I'll be fine no matter what. Julian fell silent. He found a seat and sat down, crossing his legs. Don't worry, let's cooperate. The few of us who are left have already accumulated plenty of rewards. We don't need yours. You don't mess with me, I don't mess with you. We'll just get through today peacefully. Sound good? David had been watching us the whole time. Now he slowly walked over to me. He looked at me with a complicated expression. Yesterday, when they voted for me, was it you who saved me? I nodded, not denying it. He whispered a quiet, "Thank you." Just then, a loud electronic voice filled the classroom. A SAT Points Exchange app is now permanently disabled. Humanity Instance 289 concluded. Survivors, 6. Experiment, failed. Number of participants who did not use the Exchange app, 2. All accounts will now be reset. Those who use the Exchange app will receive an ultimate punishment. Those who did not use the Exchange app will receive an SAT boost. Wishing all students success on the SATs and acceptance into your dream schools. This time, the faces of the few remaining survivors changed. I sighed. I had seen this coming. Hadn't they noticed? Ever since this app appeared, not a single teacher had shown up. No one from the school had stopped their bizarre behavior, but everyone's senses had been clouded. No one realized something was wrong. On the day of the SATs, everyone returned to normal, their minds clear again. Many of them started fistfights with the people who had voted for them. Others went on to take the exam as planned. But after everything that had happened, some were too shaken to perform well. Some people's minds went blank. They couldn't remember a single thing they had studied. And some had completely lost their minds, insisting they were millionaires and who the hell needed college. Marcus, in particular, had a breakdown during the exam and started attacking people. He was eventually taken away by the police. Sarah didn't even show up for the test. She went into hiding. I don't know what the ultimate punishment was for Julian and the others, but for this graduating class, out of 28 students, 26 of them bombed the SATs. Only David and I felt energized, our minds sharp, and we took the test in peak condition. When the scores came out, both of us were surprised. Our scores were even higher than what the app had shown. We both got into our dream schools. Was this the reward the app had promised? It was more than enough. There are no shortcuts in life. You have to take it one step at a time. Only then can you walk towards a better future. The day before I left for college, David asked to meet up. He was ecstatic. He told me that the strange events in our class had made the news. The story was that it was all due to exam-related stress. His parents had been so worried about his mental state that they had stayed with him for the past 2 months. The reason they had divorced in the first place was because they couldn't agree on how to raise him. Now, their relationship had improved, and they had decided to remarry. It turned out that even without the app's help, his wish of having his family back together could still come true. I smiled. Maybe this is the app's real reward for you. After all, I had gotten my acceptance letter from Harvard. We looked at each other and smiled. Until the next year. My cousin came to stay at my house to study for her SATs. I noticed an extra app on her phone. The gray icon of the SAT Points Exchange app lit up once more. SAT Horror Instance 290 has been successfully activated. Searching for the next batch of hosts. Instance name, the SAT Countdown Loop. App binding successful. A look of pure terror crossed my face.